Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect episode 219. We're recording this on Sunday, June 25th, 2017. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this week from way out in Orange County, California, Bobby Jackson.
What's up, everybody?
And Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And sitting across from me here in Orlando is Michelle Curry.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's good.
Hey.
What's new in life?
It's been a minute.
It's been
a while since we've all recorded, hasn't it?
It has been some time.
It has.
It's also been some time since Michelle and I had anything to post on YouTube. I'm really bummed we haven't put anything up there lately.
I know. We need to be better about that.
That needs to happen.
We need to be better about that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But, yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just a busy last weekend and a busy this weekend. And sadly, I haven't made it to a theater. I have seen some things this week, but I'll talk about that later. Go ahead, Michelle. You sound like you want to say something.
Oh no, so I got to share this because I'm curious what your guys' take on this is. Okay, this is totally off subject from seeing movies, completely social media related, has nothing to do with movies whatsoever. How about that? I know. Okay, so I go onto Facebook, I look at my notifications, and this woman who I know, but we're not friends. Like, I'm specifically not Facebook friends with her.
Specifically,
we're not friends. Like, that's just how we work.
I am actively not her friend.
That's what you just said. Yes.
I'm actively not her friend. So she likes a photo of me from Halloween.
Wednesday?
8 months ago.
Oh, Wednesday Addams?
I'm like,
Halloween?
Wait, I'm like, are you stalking me and you suck and you accidentally hit like? Or...
Ooh.
like, WTF? Why are you liking my photo? And... it's from 8 months ago. Like, that's stalker right there. You're creeping. You're looking for stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? What's happening now?
A little odd. That's a little odd. I would probably check my backseat of my car when I got into it every day and every morning and every night. Make sure that nobody's following you and just be careful out there.
I don't think it's like that crazy, but like, does it ever like weird you out when people like a photo of you on social media that was from like, I mean, this was literally 8 months ago. 8 months.
Yeah, no,
that's
for sure. No, I was kidding about the whole check your back seat, but I'm like, yeah, 100%. That's really weird. I mean, from something, even with somebody that I am friends with, and it's like, dude, are you just cruising my photos right now? Like, what's going on?
Like, are you bored at work that you are cruising your friend's profile photo? Like, not just profile photos, just photos, like albums. Like, WTF, what are you doing, dude? Really, creeper?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, and I don't know that that's actually happened to me, so I can't speak from experience, but it would creep me out, I think. Because it's, you get that a lot on Instagram where I have random accounts that will like old photos of mine, but I can tell that they're accounts that are really cruising for followers, and I don't think much of those. I'm just like, okay, but right. If I were like Facebook and this were somebody I knew, and they like some photo from 2 years ago, I know that they had to go out of their way to get to it,
Right. Like, I'm like, not that I post a lot of photos really of myself. I mean, I on Facebook, I don't. I'll put it that way. On Facebook, I don't traditionally put a ton on there. At least I, in my opinion, don't feel like I do compared to most people. But I'm like, I know I've posted enough between Halloween and now that would not be near the surface. Do you know what I mean?
Somebody's thread.
Like, that's not near the surface, dude. That's
right.
It's back there a little bit. Like, Christmas was in there. Thanksgiving was in there. Freaking Kentucky Derby was in there. Like, things happened. Like, the world turned. And, like, you were looking for...
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention at the top of the show.
I'm sorry. I interrupted. It was my own fault.
You didn't interrupt at all.
Like, I'm interrupting right now. That's what happened.
You did not interrupt. You're all's good. I was going to mention at the top of the show, we are, and I can't believe I'm saying this, we're 25 days away from San Diego Comic-Con.
25 days! The countdown is upon us!
I can't believe it's only 25 days.
Close.
We're in the
it's
inner
crazy
30.
close.
We're in the inner 30, dude.
Right there.
Michelle and I are celebrating with our throwback drink of the night, Zima.
Zimas?
We got us some Zimas from the 90s, baby.
I guess this is like some limited release dealio.
Yeah.
I saw a friend on Instagram post a picture from Publix of, cases of these, and I'm like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then it was only like 3 photos down my feed, and somebody else is like something about Zima, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
What the hell's happening?
Why am I suddenly now seeing Zima everywhere? And yeah, sure enough, right on the bottle it says limited release.
Yeah.
How long has this been gone?
So, I meant to Google that before the show. So Zima, right, left in like the mid 90s, and I'm assuming out of the top of my head 95, 96, or 97. I feel like it might have been as late as 97. But anyways, so Zima, the company that owns Zima, still actually sells Zima overseas, apparently, but they stopped selling it here in the United States. Well, they decided, because the gods have spoken to them, apparently, that they are unlimited release, and it's literally going from Memorial Day through Labor Day or until quantities last out. Of Zima. They released it into the market. Now, I will say, at this point, I've now read 2 articles on this. And the first article I was told bullshit. Because they're like, it's only at Walmart. Walmart's the only place you can get it. And that's total crap. Because I bought my case at Target. And you said you saw a case at our grocery store chain called Publix.
Yeah.
So, so it's out there. But yeah, dude, get you a 6-pack of Zima. Throw back through, put like Friends on or Seinfeld. And just have a whole 90s moment. Because God bless it. And I will say, this thing's fucking refreshing.
Refreshing.
It is refreshing as hell, my friend. It is cold and crisp, and it's got just the right hint of lime and citrus.
It's citrus
and magic.
It is. It's like a unicorn in my mouth. It's amazing.
Wait.
Also, 5% liquor.
Say that again, Michelle. 5%. I didn't quite catch it.
He wants to get that more clear on tape.
I just didn't hear it. I actually didn't hear it.
So what I said was, it's refreshing, it's crisp, but it's like having a unicorn in my mouth.
That's what she said.
I don't even know what to say. I got nothing on that one.
I will definitely be cutting that.
Not what I thought you said, and I was going to glaze over it. Man,
at any moment.
Wow.
No, not cutting it from the show. It's staying in. Oh, that's not what I meant, Michelle.
You want that at your fingertips.
Yeah, it's going to be at the ready whenever I want to throw that in there.
We should get shirts made. It's like a unicorn in my mouth.
Yes, we should.
We're copywriting that. That's happening.
Okay. So if I want to try one of these Zimas, where do I go to purchase one?
You can go to Walmart, Target, grocery stores, liquor chains. They're out, and they're literally only out they're out supposedly until Labor Day or until quantities run out.
Did you? So you never had it back in the day?
Me?
Yeah.
No, never.
Oh, wow.
I barely drink as it is, so I definitely wouldn't have tried a Zima.
By the way, according to Wikipedia, they actually ceased production in the U.S. back in 2008.
2008?
Yeah.
I feel like that's
what I'm reading. And
crazy.
And the other place that apparently it is still marketed in is Japan.
Right.
But it seems,
wow.
That's 9 years ago, which is still crazy to me. I know the math is obvious, but I don't know why 2008 doesn't feel like 9 years.
But I feel like for me, it was a thing when I was in middle school and high school and it was around. But by the time I went to college, Zima was not in existence.
Yeah.
I think my girlfriends and I even actively went out looking for Zima when we were in college. I mean, we're young and stupid. So, and it just wasn't there. That's what I'm saying. That was in the early 2000s. Geez.
No, I would not in a million years have guessed 2008.
No.
I know. I thought early 2000s maybe.
House one on that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
We are such an educational show.
I never tried one, so I might have to just see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah,
and by fuss, I just mean you and David, because I haven't literally.
Well, you know what, Bobby? On the upside of things, in 25 days, I'm going to see you in California, and I will buy a 6-pack, and the 3 of us will enjoy a lovely 6-pack of Zima while we sit on the lawn talking about Comic-Con.
That would be awesome.
How about that?
Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
Dang it.
It does sound like so much fun, Yasha, doesn't it?
Oh, geez. Don't just dig it in.
Yeah, that's cool, Michelle. Great. Good stuff. That's good stuff.
I think David's even surprised I went there on this one. He's looking at me like, dude, you're digging a hole.
The next time he does see you.
Yeah, no hugs.
All the love is gone.
No hugs this time.
All the love is gone. When love is gone.
So, anybody watch anything this week? I'm curious, Yasha. So you saw Transformers. And,
the number one box office movie this weekend. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
In all its glory.
So, I mean, that must mean it was as good as the money it made, right?
It was awesome. And if you like shit that sucks, then yeah, it was totally awesome.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how Michael Bay did it, but he managed to destroy two of my favorite childhood things in one movie. And I kept waiting for more things for him to just kind of be like, hey, you remember how you like the Smurfs? Or you remember GoBots? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and put those in here too and just make them dumb as well. Or just something just else from the 80s. Or Lion-O was going to pop up or something like that.
That would have been... I would have went to go see it if Lion-O popped up. Even if it was bad, I just would have went to go see it just because of that.
Just for the cameo.
I mean, just anything you could think of as like, what you would like love from the 80s and watching being a product from the 80s and Disney cartoons or, the Saturday morning cartoons is just like, I mean, this movie, they tried really hard to keep explaining what was going on. And every time that they did, and they got deeper and deeper. And I'm just like, what the holy fuck are you talking about? After a while, it was just like, and it's like you can kind of follow it and you're good because Anthony Hopkins pretty much was there to kind of navigate the story for the most part. And one of the things that I can think of when I was watching it was how much of a paycheck did he just really need to be involved in this movie? Because I can't imagine that he was just like, this is a brilliant script and I just really want to be a part of this Transformer franchise. I feel like it was more along the lines of, hey man, we'll give you $30 million if you show up for this, a month's work and be in this movie. Yeah, all right, I'll do that.
I bet he didn't even get a paycheck so much as like say, okay, I'll do it, but you got to give me points because he's probably seen how much these movies make. And he was like, just give me some points on the back end and we're good.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that I actually would be 100% on board with you on that one as well. So the movie centers around the last night, and it was, they brought in King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and they made Merlin into a drunk.
I from the trailers, I thought that's where that was going, but I really was like, no, they wouldn't get sacrilegious. They wouldn't go that far sacrilegious into things.
Oh, they did. Okay. Oh, they did. They absolutely did. And not only, like I said, they made King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table real, as in real characters, and everything. They made Merlin, and they made him a drunk. Like almost like a bumbling fool for the better part of the movie. And it was played by Stanley Tucci, who I completely love. Like, I think Stanley Tucci is a fantastic actor. And to see him pop up in this, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it was painful. And it was not just that, but it was watching a Transformer movie with very little transforming. It was basically watching robots walk around in the very same stereotypical corny roles that they did in some of the other ones. And I mean, this movie was just kind of all over the place. You know what? I saw it in 3D too, because that was the only time that they had showing. And the special effects were cool. Like, the fight scenes were actually pretty decent. Some of the worlds that they kind of created, but it was just so all over the place. And then this whole staff thing that they kind of implement. I'm getting really deep into the storyline here, and I feel like my review is getting to be all over the place, and I'm actually glad that they didn't do very well at the box office. They only made like $45 million. They're killing it overseas though, but this movie, Bobby, you would be so pissed to see this movie and just sit there. You probably would just start doing something else while you're in the theater, and I don't know, or fall asleep.
It sounds pretty bad. And luckily, I think, at least here in the States, people are really starting to recognize the fact that the franchise is just giving back diminishing returns. And it's just, a lot of garbage right now that they're giving us with this franchise. So people are starting to check out, at least here. And I think even if it does well overseas, it will present a good wake up call for the powers that be over at Paramount to start maybe putting a little bit more effort into it. So I don't know in terms of what they have going on with the Bumblebee movie, other than the little stuff that I've read here and there about how I think it's directed by Michael Dougherty. I think that's who it is, but I know that they said they want to have it take place in the 80s, and that they will be using some of the old 80s designs for the cars. And so that's like kind of teasing me into like, well, maybe do I want to watch Bumblebee now? Because if it kind of makes it look at least similar to the old school cartoon, then I might be in for it, especially because it's a different director and it's probably a lot hands off for Michael Bay. I mean, I'm sure he'll have his name on there as executive producer, but he probably won't be heavily involved. At least I'm hoping not. And so maybe, just maybe, it might be decent. But I mean, I'm holding out very little hope, and I'm really hoping that based on the numbers that we're seeing this weekend and over the 5-day, that it pretty much will go into a territory where they're starting to consider a reboot or just a dramatic shift in what they've been doing with it, because it definitely doesn't seem to be working as well. And one thing you didn't even mention in it, which I am actually curious about in the way that they did this and why, is what's up with the Nazis in the movie?
The Nazis? I don't even remember the Nazis in the movie.
They made a whole big deal about it before the movie came out, that there was a part where they filmed something over in England, and then they used, what was it, Winston Churchill's old, where he was working at, I think, a building, and they used it as a Nazi front or something. They made a whole big deal about it. I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I checked out. Like, I did like wander a lot when I was in that movie theater because it was just so bad. But I don't remember Nazis. But they might have gone over it or glazed over it because they made it seem like Anthony Hopkins' role was basically this person who was affiliated with this secret organization, and the Transformers have been here since the Dark Ages. Basically, that's what the Knights were. The Knights were protecting something that they helped create and give to Merlin, and that's where he got his magic. This is not me bullshitting. Like, I'm telling you exactly how it went down in the movie. And so they were talking about these different hiding spots and, these people that were involved, and how it's a passed down tradition to guard and be prepared for this. And Sam Witwicky was part of this organization, and his family is a descendant of that. And the woman that was there, who was a blatant ripoff of Megan Fox. Megan Fox should be pissed. I'm sorry. Like, watch this movie and look at some of the stills from this shot. It's like she was designed to look like Megan Fox through this film.
I could tell that from the trailers.
What's that?
I could tell that from the trailers. I was looking at the trailers thinking that, going, awkward.
Yeah. It was weird because I was like, man, that's the same lady from, or actress from the Guardians of the Galaxy who plays Peter Quill's mom, but she looked nothing like her in the Transformer trailers. She looked like she was trying to be, like you said, Yasha, just a sort of secondary actress to, all of a sudden her name just left my head. Megan Fox, yes. So that was an odd choice, I think.
Yeah, and it was really weird that they actually had her be this character, that looks so much like Megan Fox. Like, it was just almost awkward to watch it. And this forced love relationship that she had with Mark Wahlberg, and it was so all over the place. That's why it's like, I don't even remember the Nazis being there. I remember them villains, and they might have alluded to that because of this organization that has essentially been around since forever, and they tracked it all the way back in this. They had this huge history lesson, which is back to what I was saying, where they were trying to explain in detail, how the story was going along and how these people have been around and how the Transformers have been around since the Dark Ages. and they're protecting this, sacred place. And I just can't with this bullshit. I'm sorry. I just like it was not great. Like, I mean, in all honesty, the special effects, pretty cool. Some of the scenes were very, very cool. The amount of effort that they put into try and keep explaining what was going on, I will commend them on that, because it was like they would try to hey, this is what's going on, almost like remind you as to like what really is happening, and you still would manage to get like, wait, okay, so this person's connected here, and then that's this, and she can do this, and wait, why is that okay? And why can't you? It just felt like you were just kind of like, it was such a convoluted, like, misstep of a story that I don't see like wanting to see this franchise continue. Like, I really wish it kind of would stop. Like, I don't want to see a Bumblebee spinoff. Optimus Prime was absolutely terrible. He was like almost like a non-existent character for the better part of the movie. Their main villain was absolutely horrible. For a planet that's supposed to be destroyed, Cybertron, it sure did a really good job of traveling across the universe to get to Earth. Like, it was that kind of weird.
It just sounds like a hot mess. That's literally the only thing I can think of. Like, from what you're saying, from what people that I know that have gone to see it are saying, like, it just sounds like a hot mess from the beginning to the end.
So you've seen all 5 films, right, Yasha?
I have.
Is it the worst? Is it just?
Ironically, no, it's not the worst. I think the worst one that I've ever seen was the 4th one. I thought that was absolutely terrible because it was so all over the place, and it's them trying to force the Dinobots, them in there. That's what they're called, right, Bobby? The dinosaur one, Dinobots. Mm-hmm. They tried to force them into the storyline, and that didn't work. Mark Wahlberg was not even like a good addition to this film, and I'm not saying that the man can't act. I mean, I don't think he's the greatest actor by any means, but he did I've seen roles where he does a really good job, but in that movie, he just seemed really bad. It was like, what's happening bad? Like, I just found it really off the cuff and just like, this is horrible. And in my mind, how this would be rated, like the first one I thought was decent. It was okay. It was a fun movie. The second one was pretty bad when you really think about it, how they made the Optimus Prime and the Primes into some sort of gods. In my opinion, I feel like the third one held truest to the cartoon just because they had and revealed that a lot of humans were helping the Decepticons and were spies and did things for them. And I kind of remember that from the cartoon. So that to me really, and that left me in kind of, there were twists and turns in that movie that I was actually surprised about. I was like, oh, hey, I didn't see that coming. Now, maybe you did, Bobby, and that's one of the reasons why you just kind of decided to stop, or you just didn't like them at all anymore. This one, the 4th one, I thought was terrible. And then this one was it was just okay, but it wasn't very good. Like, it's not something that I would recommend for somebody to go see. I was like, if you're bored, by all means, go to a Redbox and get it. Or, wait for it to come out on Netflix. But it's not something you need to rush out and go see in the theater. It is a 2.5-hour clusterfuck of time that is sucked away from your soul and your life that you will never see again. And that's a long time to be waiting for a movie to end.
Wow.
Alrighty then.
I feel like after today and probably tomorrow or next week, we'll inevitably see those articles out there on the web that's saying what's going on with the franchises and all the sequels this year, the summer movies that are underperforming and blah, blah, blah. And they always do that just probably to get clicks and whatnot. But the question is always so stupid because it's not necessarily that it's sequels and the different types of like maybe franchise fatigue. It's they're making crappy movies. So why would people want to show up for the crappy movies that they keep trying to give us? Whereas if the movie is good, it wouldn't matter if it was the 4th, 5th, 6th one or whatever in the installment. If they keep making them good, then people will keep wanting to see them. But I know for sure we'll see at least one article next week talking about is there franchise fatigue or something. But it's just so silly.
No, it is. Because you're right. It's bad films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is right up there with it in being a bad film. And you look at how much it cost to make, it's like $217 million to make, and it's only made $69 million domestically. And I mean, next weekend we have what opening up? We have Despicable Me 3. Like, this movie's going to get crushed by Despicable Me 3. You know, it's like we're going to go from 69 to probably $30 million. I mean, a huge drop off. I was gonna say
it's got Baby Driver and then Despicable Me coming up this week.
Baby Driver.
Right, like this movie's done. Like, this movie's done, so done, and I can't even begin to tell you because the next 3 weeks, kids, it's legit. The theater, the box office is on fire. Is lit.
Yeah, and that's really what's going to happen. It's just like you sit there and you look at it, and it's just like, wow, this movie is going to get crushed. Yeah. It's just going to get crushed in the next weeks because it's not getting good reviews. It's not good. It didn't get the opening hits that they wanted it to, and now we have huge movies that people are very, very excited to go see coming out in the next couple of weeks, and that's it, man. Goodbye. That's it. You know,
the only thing I can think of is that it's got to be doing well overseas. Maybe I don't know, but
it's killing.
Right, which I don't know, and it's killing in what, the Asian markets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, and it's like I wonder too. Yeah, it opened pretty big for them, but are they tired of it too, in the sense that it did well this opening weekend, but will it do well next weekend, and so on and so forth? Will it start to drop off because maybe they start to see it too, that the effort just isn't there in it, or are they breakable for them overseas, and they'll just see it regardless of the quality of it? I don't know, and I'll be really curious to see what the box office is overseas next week for it, because these movies have been doing $1 billion. And so will it reach that this time around, even with strong market overseas, or will it start to dip below that line and really send a signal to Paramount that something needs to change?
Yeah.
Looking at the box office, since we kind of are already talking about it. So, this is 3-day weekend take. Transformers last night was number 1 with 45.3. But as you mentioned, it pulled actually 69 since it got a Wednesday release. Cars 3 is at number 2 with 25.2 million. By the way, that's a movie, like, it's just funny to me, like, that we've had a Pixar movie come out that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my perspective, like, it's like I didn't even know it came.
I had no idea what the release date was.
I think it was like a week before the release, and we were getting ready to record one night, and I meant to bring it up, and I remember seeing, we had the Stanley Cup on the TV over here.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing an ad for it, and sure enough, I saw like the date, and I was like, wait a effing second, that's next weekend. I'm like, I had no idea that was coming up. And now it's even coming, almost gone. And I'm like, wow, I feel like this is a Pixar movie that no one is just talking about. I feel like I've heard a little bit of buzz that it actually is probably the best Cars movie.
Really? I like the first one.
I like the first one fine. I don't know how true that is, but I feel like I've read that here and there on the internet that some people think maybe it's actually better than 1 and definitely better than 2.
Really?
Oh, 2
I mean, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 66%. So it's what they call certified fresh, but I mean, it's not
hanging on by
a thread. It's not terrible, but it's not bad.
I've heard it's sort of like if you were to take the Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 storyline and put them together, that's kind of what you get with this Cars 3.
Like, I feel like I could go into Cars 3 and I don't even know that I've watched like a full trailer for Cars 3 before. Like, I don't even know. We could go into it completely cold. Like, I don't know what I'm about to step into.
I feel like I legitimately have no idea what that storyline is about at all, because I feel like not only have I not really seen a lot of promotion for it, there's been zero push for it. Like,
nothing.
I haven't heard it on the radio. I haven't seen it on TV. I haven't seen billboards for it. And I live near Disney World. Like, come on. Like, you and I should be inundated right now.
Yeah,
actually, all 4 of us, between you guys being in LA and then us down here in Orlando, like, we should be inundated. It should have just been screaming from the mountaintops. And I just feel like it wasn't at all. And now what's funny is I feel like this is why they switched the release date, because initially they were going to do Incredibles 2 first, and then they switched them. So I'm wondering if they are now realizing that maybe, I don't know. I'm wondering if Disney's backing a different horse now.
You were going to say something, Bobby?
Yeah, I was going to say, from what I understand, and I think this is all sort of nothing said up front, but more or less if you just sort of put two and two together. But Disney almost treats Cars as a loss leader because apparently, like the merchandising for Cars does fantastic for them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can imagine. I mean, it's Cars,
Right.
and so you can get car sets, you can get blankets and bed pillows, and all the other stuff. So it's like they put these movies out so that they can create some new characters so that they can sell the merchandise for them, which is pretty genius. But it's nevertheless, that's maybe why you don't see Disney pushing it as much as, or Disney Pixar pushing it as much as they do some of their other stuff, is because they know it'll do a certain amount of business, because there's always going to be kids that'll want to see these movies and parents that'll take them to go see it. And they know that afterwards they'll probably sell a buttload of whatever kind of merchandise for it. So it makes sense, and they've got it down to a science to where they can make a budget for these movies and still make a profit, no matter how low it might seem to us in terms of the box office. Because I mean, I don't think David mentioned the worldwide box office on it, but it still did pretty good the opening weekend. And the extra 25 you said, I think this weekend still is pretty decent. So, and it's only been out, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's got a domestic total gross of, just a hair under 100. So
yeah,
it's doing all right.
Sure, it'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they don't feel like they need to put money into marketing on it. I get that. Wonder Woman is at number 3 in its 4th weekend release with 25.2 million, almost exactly as Cars 3. What's the stat now? That's now the highest grossing film directed by a female ever.
I was just about to pull that up, actually. It is officially. It's official. Wonder Woman is now the highest grossing live action film directed by a woman. The DC Extended Universe film has so far earned $635 million worldwide, surpassing Felinda Lloyd's Mamma Mia that hit 609.8. So yeah.
Nice.
I'm reading that from
Good
Entertainment Weekly.
Good
so yeah, it's awesome.
Our 4th film in the box office is another film that I guess it shows how out of touch I am. I know nothing of 47 meters down.
Oh, the
I
shark
saw
one.
47 meters down.
Wow. Alrighty then. Well,
hey,
then,
Bobby, you get to go next.
This is a good time for me to jump in.
It is a good time for you to jump in because what the hell is 47 meters down? I see it's got Mandy Moore in it. Am I right? Hey, look at that.
It does. Mm-hmm. It does. It has Mandy Moore and Claire Holt. And it's just basically a very small film. It's at Blumhouse. And it's just these two girls are on vacation and they are deciding that they want to kind of do something adventurous for their time that they're spending. I believe they're in Mexico or somewhere off the coast. And they decide to go shark tank diving. So they're in the cage and they're basically just in a situation to where a mishap happens and the rope on the cage, it starts to fray and then it breaks and then they end up dropping all the way down to the bottom. And it's obviously from there, a lot of stuff happens, which I won't really spoil, but it was actually pretty decent. And it's not like you couldn't sit there and be able to predict a lot of the things that might happen, although there are some things that I found pretty interesting that they did that I hadn't really seen before. But what I think I took away from the movie overall is that it's the intimacy of the movie and the closeness and the anticipation is what really starts to draw you into it, because when you start getting that deep into the water, it's just dark and there could be a shark like within less than a foot away from you and you wouldn't know it because of how dark it is unless you see some sort of light or something. And it does a really good job of giving you that edge of the seat feeling, and you're just nervous for these two girls because, well, at least for me, I'm familiar with both of them enough to sort of have an attachment to their characters even without me knowing their characters. other than in this movie, but the actresses that play them, I know them well enough. So I already has that connection. So you're kind of like on edge for these two characters. And it just really gives you this sense of dread because it's one of those fears that all of us tend to have at some point when you're thinking about being in the water. And if you were to ever have that situation to where you were underneath and there was nothing you could do and you're relying on someone else to try and help you out, but you don't know if that help's going to come. It sets its mood right. And I thought it did a really good job. And it's not that long of a movie. It's like an hour and a half. So I think that was a good decision on them as well, as to sort of get in, get out kind of thing, as opposed to trying to drag this kind of a storyline out for too long. And it's something that I think if you went to go see it in the theater, that's perfectly fine if you want to see something that's scary to that degree right now. But it's also something that would actually, I think, lend itself to being at home on a Friday night watching it if you had a red box or something like that too. So it actually serves both purposes pretty well. That I would say it's decent enough to go see it at the theater, and it's also good enough to check out once it comes out on Redbox.
It sounds interesting. I'd watch it, but yeah, I just wasn't familiar with it. I mean, I had seen something. It's not like I read this. This is the first time I've heard of the title. I have heard of it. Like, I think going through like YouTube subscription stuff, I saw somebody else doing a review of it, and I just hadn't even looked into it yet. I'm like, oh, all right.
I feel like right now there's a lot of films that I'm like, oh, I'm curious about seeing that film, but they haven't actually really drawn me to like, I'm going to go actively seek out this film, spend money on it and the time on it. I'm like, I'm interested, but I can wait and see it later. I feel like that's what's going on right now in the market, literally until like this next week, and then it's like insanity will ensue again. But like, there just hasn't been a lot in the last 2 weeks, other than Wonder Woman, 4 weeks ago, that I've been like, I've got to go see this. I'm like, it's been kind of a slow 3-4 weeks, really, ever since Wonder Woman.
Right.
For me personally.
Yes. No, you're right. I mean, there's definitely been things that's been hitting the theater, but I wouldn't say any of them are ones that you need to rush out and go see and lend themselves to the same way that Wonder Woman did.
Well, totally.
Right. So where were we? That was at number 4. Number 5, another film I think at least one of us has seen, All Eyes on Me, pulling in $5.8 million in its second weekend release. Did anybody see this? Yash, I know you had said you were probably going to. Did you?
I did go and check out this movie. Bobby, did you get a chance to see it? I know we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, we did talk about it, or joked about it anyway, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I definitely still will see it. I just didn't have a chance to see it just yet.
I actually wanted to see this film. I was kind of curious. I was like, I'm curious to see how this bad boy's going to do. And then one day I was kind of like, oh, let me see, when it's out in theaters. I was trying to freshen, my memory when it was. I'm like, oh, is it going to be playing around me? And I look it up. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I see the Rotten Tomatoes score on it. And I was like, and I don't judge my life off of Rotten Tomatoes, I will admit. There's definitely times I've gone when I've seen movies that are like 17%. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I want to see it. But I saw the score on this and I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, I thought this was going to be doing much better than this. Like, I was genuinely shocked to see how low it was rated on Rotten Tomatoes. It was like, whoa, that's not what I thought was going to be happening here with this film.
Yeah, the score on Rotten Tomatoes did make it hard for me to actually go see this movie. I'm not going to lie, because I'm like you, Michelle. Like, I don't live and die by the scores on Rotten Tomatoes, but it does offer a little bit of deterrence when it comes to going to go see a movie. Right. My girlfriend Shannon wanted to go see this, so that made it easier for me to get out there and go see it. So we went to go see it. The best part about this movie, I have to say, was probably the music that inspired the film, and this character opposed to this guy. Like the music that they played was pretty fantastic. It was all stuff that we listened to. The gentleman that played Tupac, his name is escaping me right now. Demetrius Shipp Jr. That's it. He was remarkable. Like, he was actually really, really good. He looked like Tupac. He had his mannerisms down. He did a really good job of it. They had this back and forth and introducing Jada Pinkett Smith in this movie, and that's also another thing that kind of detoured me from watching this, wanting to really see this movie, is that she came out and was very vocal against it. And I can kind of see why she would be, because they had this whole interaction and then this poem that Pac supposedly had written for her that she had never heard before. And I'm not a huge fan of rewriting somebody's history just because you didn't like the way that it was the first time around. Like, this is something that I think Bobby and I discussed before. Like, when you go and see the MWMA movie, Straight Outta Compton, there's parts of their lives that they really, really left out. Like, Dre really left out. Like, court cases that were very pivotal to, you know, I think shaping what direction he was going to go, whether it was Death Row or starting another record label and whatnot. And you can't just rewrite your history or rewrite your gangster just because you're not a fan of how it was when it was going on.
Right.
The director for this movie, it seemed like he was trying to be a little too artsy Benny Boom when it came to certain aspects of the film. It just didn't fit. It's like he tried to start it off as almost like this documentary that Pac was telling it, and then it left that film setting and just started to pick up live where things were going on, like we were witnessing it. And he had this whole scene of like, kept flashing back to Pac standing on the stage by himself, and it would start on one side of him, and then when it was all done, it would, like, the camera had circled all the way around him. I know I'm not probably explaining it right, but if you watch this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then he had this whole scene in the movie that was almost reminiscent to the Untouchables, with Robert Downey Jr. playing Al Capone, and has his whole entourage sitting at the table, and then he takes out one of the guys at the table. Like, it really mirrored that, and you can see the influence for that was very, very strong. And it felt almost copied instead of like an homage, or kind of like, hey, this is something that I really appreciated, because it felt forced to put that kind of scene in there. And maybe it was something that he wanted to get in there to show that Suge Knight was really kind of this thug and he wasn't a good guy. But this is all something that people knew. Like, you know, Suge Knight's not a good guy. He was a thug. He was a criminal. You know, he forced Dre out of the record label Death Row and everything to that effect. So it's just like, the movie itself was just okay. It wasn't as good as you wanted it to be, but it's not nearly as bad as how everybody is saying. That's kind of like been my consensus when it comes to people asking me, should I go see this? That's the sentence I say. Not as bad as it sounds, but not as good as you hope.
Gotcha.
And that's really what it comes down to.
Well,
but it was entertaining, and the characters, the people that were acting in the film, they did a really good job, except for Snoop Dogg. Like, when they introduced Snoop, I swear to God, I think they just dubbed over his voice and tried to hire an actor who was a lookalike to lip sync his lines, because they were that bad.
Oh.
It was horrible. Like, that was painful to watch, because I'm not kidding. It sounds like they had this guy who was there, supposedly Snoop Dogg, and every time that he spoke, I really think that it was actually Snoop Dogg's voice that was doing it. Either that, or this guy did an amazingly shitty impression of it.
Wow.
Well then. And I mean, yeah, once you pass the number 5 film, I mean, we've got then The Mummy and Pirates of the Caribbean and Rough Night. I did want to see Rough Night. Rough Night's at number 8. But did anybody see that out of curiosity?
No.
No.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you did? I was curious to see that one too. I'm kind of tempted to see that one and what is it, Girls Weekend, and do like a double header of like
yeah.
Of like women, like all out women, like partying kind of movies.
Right.
I was like, let me do a double header. That'd be great. I still might do that actually.
No?
That could be a fun day.
So how was Rough Night then?
You know what? I thought it was funny. Like, my girlfriend and I, Shannon and I, thought we watched it, and it was, I couldn't stop laughing. Maybe I was just in a mood to really, really laugh, but I was actually laughing pretty hard at it. Like, there was a lot of parts that were just very predictable, but I'll tell you who made the movie. It was Kate McKinnon and the supporting cast. Scarlett Johansson did a good job, and she played a really good straight edge type of character. And her fiance was absolutely hilarious in the movie. Like, I think he was also the person I think he also directed the film. The person who played his her fiance. No, maybe that might be wrong. Excuse me. Or he might have written it. Excuse me. But I actually thought it was really funny. Like, it had some very, very funny moments. And I would recommend people to go see it if you want just a cheap laugh. I mean, it's very predictable to an extent, but it's kind of like how they're going to get from point A to point B. And it's the adventure that they go on to get there because you know it's going to happen. But it was entertaining, and I liked it.
Cool.
Nice. It doesn't surprise me that Kate McKinnon was kind of the major highlight. Like, just from the little bit you get from the trailer, I've been like, oh, Kate McKinnon, you kill me.
It's just like that one shot of like, it's like a close up of her and somebody's in the background reacting and she's doing this like thing with her eyes.
That's happening.
And I mean, it sounds like nothing, but she's just so fucking good at it.
Her facial expressions, and she's so expressive with her face, and it's just so good, and she just delivers.
Yeah.
I mean, like she's really good at delivering a line and a joke, but when you watch her, even when you watch her on SNL, like, her facial expressions are on point. Like, that's where the humor is, and that's awesome. I think that's traditional.
It is.
It's old school comedy, and she really does really well with it, and I love it.
I think it's like almost like a vacant expression that she has when she has this big smile. She does this really good look of just like, what is kind of like what's happening right now type of look. Mm-hmm. And she nails it every time in this role. Like, I just couldn't stop laughing at what she would say every time she would speak. It was great. Like, it was really funny. And the role reversal for the bachelor party and the bachelorette party was really funny. And I don't want to touch anymore because I don't want to give anything away, but it did its job. I laughed. I was entertained. Like, and that's really all there is to it. Like, my cousin didn't think it was as funny as I thought it was, but I definitely laughed my ass off throughout some of the movie.
Nice. Other movies that came out this weekend that I'm excited about seeing, but they are nowhere near us yet. The Big Sick came out this weekend, but only on 5 screens. And I don't know, it just looks really good. It's got a really great Rotten Tomato score right now. It's in the 90s. The Beguiled came out this weekend, but also only on 4 screens. I am also curious about seeing Band-Aid. That's been out a couple weeks, but I noticed it came to Orlando just this weekend. So I'm hoping to try to check that out this week. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say, Michelle?
I was going to say Big Sick's I'm sorry, I'm not even talking right. Big Sick, its wide release is July 14th.
Okay, cool. According
to IMDb. I'm looking on IMDb really fast. And Beguiled's wide release is actually, this is going to be on June 30th, so Friday.
Oh, okay.
So the wide releases are coming very soon to those. But yeah, no, I wanted to see Band-Aid too, because it's got some people in it they like, and I'm like, oh, this could be kind of fun. Quirky fun.
Yeah, Band-Aid is it Zoe Lister-Jones? Mm-hmm. She directed it, she wrote it, she stars in it. It's a completely female production crew that made the film. Yeah, it just looks really good. I hadn't even seen a trailer for it until I saw it came to our local art house theater. So then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh wow, I don't know. Yeah, well, I want to see it.
It's fun. I follow her on Instagram, so she's been promoting the film. But what's really funny is she's not just promoting the film; she's hard pushing the soundtrack for this film because it's about music in essence. And so she's literally like campaigning. She's like, get the soundtrack. You gotta listen. Like, she's really all about it. It's so cute and adorable to see her like on Instagram. She's like, yeah, the movie's great. Here's a clip. Seriously, you gotta listen to the soundtrack. Like the next post is literally about the soundtrack almost every single time. Nice. And it's adorable. And I'm like, oh, well, this is a passion project for her that she's wanted to do. And I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it looks fun.
It looks fun. What else? I did watch a movie this week.
You did?
I did.
I saw one like a week or so ago.
I know, it's crazy. I watched it at home.
What?
I didn't venture out into a movie theater. But so this week I was scrolling around on the Apple TV looking at movies, and every week iTunes has a movie of the week, which is a 99-cent rental. Mm-hmm. And I see a movie on there, and the poster is what caught my eye. I'm like, that's a cool looking poster. It's like this kind of triangle shape, and it's got these like tentacles coming out of it, and there's this figure like knelt in front of this thing, and I'm like, what the hell is that? It's called The Void. And so I immediately go watch the trailer. And the trailer totally hooked me. I watched this trailer. I was like, dude, I'm watching this movie this week at some point. This is happening. especially if I can only watch it for 99 cents, which, by the way, I was too late for that shit. I missed it.
Oh.
So it gets worse. But anyway, I know. It gets worse in that I will say straight up front, this was not a good movie. And it really bummed me out. Like, so not only did I watch the trailer and I was like, oh wow, that this actually looks like it could be a really good horror film. Mm-hmm. And the trailer is like, you get this sense from the trailer. You see all these like hooded figures with these like triangle shapes on their hoods, and you see that there's going to be a lot of gore in this film. So I'm like, all right, you can tell it's all practical. I'm like, that's cool. All right, I'm down with that. Like, I love horror movies. I love low-grade, shitty horror movies. Like, I'm all for that stuff. So fine, I'm right in with this. And the trailer's going out of its way to show you a lot of like quotes from reviews that are really like pointing out that it's, you know, one of these kind of throwback horror films that we're seeing a lot lately, but it's like one of the better ones or something. I don't know. I'm like, all right. Then I see the Rotten Tomatoes score too, and the Rotten Tomatoes score is at 73%.
Whoa!
That's pretty solid for this kind of film.
Solid, yeah. That's solid.
Now, with that
Super
said,
solid, actually.
You know, like when you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you look at, like right now I have Cars 3 up, you know, they've counted 130 reviews for Cars 3. It's a big film. But The Void, last I checked, it was like 53 reviews. So we're not talking about as many reviews here. But,
right.
But still, 73%, I'm like, all right, I'm definitely going to watch this.
That's half of the 50, over half the 50. You're doing good.
So I go to watch it, and yeah, I missed the 99-cent rental. So the rental is up to $5. And then we're going to play that game. And I've played this game before. You go in iTunes. And I don't know if I've talked about this too, by the way, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's $5 to rent it or it's $10 to buy it. And I'm like, all right. It's $5 more. And even my wife, who was sitting there and wanted to watch it with me, she's like, look, you know, because we do like a Halloween party every year, and usually I throw on like horror movies in the background. She's like, it's going to be the kind of perfect movie to just throw on for the Halloween party. Just buy it.
Might as well.
I'm like, sure, it's $5 more because it's probably going to be good anyway, right? I'll be happy to own this. But yeah, I go into that, like that's a whole side piece, but it's so annoying that you can't rent a movie from a service like that and then afterwards go, you know what? I really liked it. I'll pay the difference.
Like they say you have 24 hours to decide if you want to pay the difference to own it.
Yeah.
Right. And like they could have a timestamp on it. They could be like, you have to decide within 24 hours of renting it.
And now I'll pay the $5 extra. I want to keep it forever.
Excellent.
There are times I would have used that.
Oh, so many times in my life.
But I really wish that were possible. But anyway, so yeah, now I own The Void. and so it's about this, where I guess it's like a small town, and it starts off, you've got this kind of beat cop who, you know, is just parked next to some woods. He sees this guy crawl out of the woods, and he's definitely like something's wrong with him. So he has to rush him to this hospital. The closest hospital is this hospital that is getting ready to close. So they are on like a skeleton crew, basically. Like a lot of the equipment's not even at the hospital anymore. So for some reason, they still have like one doctor on duty, like one nurse, another nurse who's like a student, you know. I mean, there's like one person in the waiting room. So a really small crew at this hospital. And then while they're in there, some crazy shit starts to happen. You've also got these hooded figures that start surrounding the hospital and won't let anybody leave. Yeah, there's a lot of gore and monster kind of practical effects going on in here that is very reminiscent of a John Carpenter film, a film like The Thing, very much like The Thing. And sure, that stuff, I mean, I guess it looks great. It looks great in that it's cool that they did it all practically. I will say, though, even the stuff they did, it's like, it's a mess and it looks effed up, but I'm like, I don't know that the design is really anything that I should get excited about. I don't know. It's just, and the acting was just terrible. And I think the thing I find annoying is that I haven't read really any reviews for this movie, but I see a 73%, and I feel like there's a lot of probably positive reviews happening that are purely going down that road of reviewing it based on the movie it's trying to be. And I don't know. I guess I'm mixed on this, but I think I have a problem with that, because I'm like, don't get me wrong. I like, for purpose, watching shitty horror films. I mean, there was a time there where me and some friends, like once a month, they'd come over and we would watch a really crappy horror movie and all just hang out and drink and make fun of it. And I mean, under that kind of scenario, sure, it's fun watching movies like that. But if you want to ask me, like, is this a good movie or not? Like, and we're talking about The Void here. I'm like, no, this is not good. Like, I don't understand how anybody watched this and came away from it going, this is a good film. And to just go, oh, well, that's the movie it was trying to be. It was trying to be bad, so that makes it okay. I'm like, I don't know. Like, because
it's like not, Sharknado, right?
I guess, except to me, it's not like Sharknado.
No.
Sharknado goes that extra level of, we are really camping it up big time.
They know they're doing, like, it's...
And I mean, I guess you could argue that The Void is kind of doing the same thing, but if it is, it's not doing it well enough. It's walking that line of, it seems like...
Trying to be somewhat serious.
Yeah, because you're watching it thinking, is this guy acting this way on purpose? Or is he just not a good actor? You watch Sharknado, you know, like, what you're getting. You can tell, you know.
It's done with purpose.
So yeah, if it were obviously being that kind of campy kind of movie, then fine. But yeah, that's not what this kind of movie was trying to be. And no, it was not very good. And I do not recommend The Void. I don't care what Rotten Tomatoes says. I mean, yes, if you are a big fan of gore, it's not even so much gore to the extreme. It's more the creature effects thing. This kind of a gory creature and that kind of work. Like, basically, if this movie felt like it was designed to be on the cover of a Fangoria magazine. Like, that is, if that's your thing, then sure, watch it for that. And maybe that's your deal. And yeah, there's kind of the main, like, bad guy monster you see at the end. He's definitely a cool design, and it's got a cool look to it. And there's even a lot of shots at the way they're framed and the way they look that I'm like, wow, this shot was put together really well, and this shot was put together really well. And there's a lot of imagery at the end that I'm like, this looks really cool. Sure, I don't know why I would care, but it looks cool. This guy standing in front of this thing, and this, it's the end. I don't want to explain too much about it, but it's like, it's not a good film at all. So I was pretty bummed by that. And if anyone ever wants to watch it, I already own it, so just come on over and don't waste your money on it.
You'll have it on for the Halloween party.
It definitely for imagery wise, throwing on a movie in the background at a party like that where you don't really even hear the audio and it's just kind of on. Sure, it's perfect.
Oh, well, great.
A lot of just crazy looking stuff in it. There's nobody in the movie probably you would recognize. The only actress I recognize from the film, she was Knives in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Her Ellen Wong. She's in the movie. I think she's in that new show Glow. Oh. On Netflix, which I haven't seen any of, and I don't know that I'm even that interested. But man, I feel like I don't know what it's like for you guys out in Southern California, because stuff is marketed like this to you all the time. But this is one of those rare things that I'm like seeing billboards for it in Orlando, and I'm like,
and I never see Netflix.
You don't see Netflix stuff on billboards
ever down here. And like, I think I drive by at least 2 of them on my drive home.
Yeah,
minimally, if not 3. That's crazy.
That's interesting. Now, I haven't really noticed any billboards. I mean, they may be somewhere around and I just hadn't paid attention to it. But that's interesting that of all things, that would be the one that they are advertising out where you guys are.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems to be a special push on it, at least from our perspective, like where we don't see stuff like that.
And the only thing I can come up with is because WWF is actually really big here because it's here in Orlando. It's out by UCF.
Okay.
Worldwide Wrestling Federation, right?
Right. It was WWE now, right? WWF. That's like old school, isn't it?
Yeah, it's WWE.
There you have it. 1, you know how old I am, and 2, you know how much I know about.
You're talking like Zima days, Michelle.
Right. I am talking Zima days.
Earlier.
So I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that might be pushing it, is because there is kind of a small fan base for that, and yeah, it's kind of a toss back to the 80s and the early 90s and the hype of it all. But
right.
But real quick, I gotta talk to you about this film that I saw. I didn't make this. This film that I have not actually seen, but I saw a promotion for it.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have heard this film yet, but it's called A Beginner's Guide to Snuff.
Whoa.
Okay.
No takers on that?
Snuff films?
Yes. So it actually opened up this past Friday on June 23rd, and I'm assuming that's a small release. So the cast is Joey Kern, Luke Edwards, and Bree Williamson. And I'm going to read the synopsis. This is going to be so good. I'm so excited. two brothers decide to make most convincing pseudo snuff film ever, in all caps, I'm reading, and decide not to tell the victim that it's staged. Of course, the brothers' whole plan goes completely south as they picked the wrong victim and soon find the tables turned on them! Exclamation point. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am kind of curious to see this film. I think that, like, the picture is the two of them, like the poster they have is the two of them, like, basically looking like, holy hell, I think we just screwed ourselves. And then this chick is behind them and she looks like she is ready to kick some ass and take names and survive whatever snuff film they were putting her in. So yeah, that's what I know. Sorry, you're talking about, like, you know, the glory movies and the horror. I was like, okay, this. No, I
hadn't heard of it.
I am intrigued by this.
After we record, I will watch a trailer for this.
I haven't even seen the trailer. That's the beauty part. I don't even know. I literally am just basing this off of the poster and the synopsis I've read, and I'm like, this is so exciting for me. Like, I don't know why, but I'm like, this movie has drawn me in. I've got to know.
Looks like it was released a year ago in March of 2016.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe it's replaying somewhere nearby or something. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but like...
Because, you're looking at it
I'm on Fandango. Yeah. I'm on Fandango. And this is open Friday, June 23rd, 2017.
Cool.
So, yeah. Anyways. You're bringing up the, bad horror movie, and I'm like, speaking of bad horror movies... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it'd have been one thing, man. If the Void were like that, I'd have been like, cool, fine, this is fun. I remember when I saw Piranha, I was like, man, Piranha 3D was like...
Piranha.
Which I thought was borderline, like, spectacular in that sense. And I'm like, man, this really works. Yeah. Like, I'm so shocked I'm enjoying this movie as much as I am, but this was not that kind of movie. Anyway. We've got plenty more to talk about. Like I said, it's been a couple weeks since we recorded, but we're already out of time here. So we're going to go ahead and record another one of these. So...
we're going to have a two-parter
episode, or just basically we're going to go ahead and record the next one. And so look out for that. It'll be released very soon after this episode. Lots of news, big news to talk about from this past week, for sure.
But other lovely banter, like how refreshing Zima is.
Yeah, we'll add new banter to the next one. We'll come up with some shit. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll try to fake banter. Hey guys, so it's been a while. It's been 5 minutes.
We've got actual things we can banter about.
Oh, definitely.
Oh no, totally. I was just saying. For example.
Before we go, just a heads up, you can always find this show wherever you obviously are listening to it from or right now, but you can always find it on iTunes, Google Play Music, and the iHeartRadio app. Just search for Flicker Effect. That's 2 words. We post audio versions of these shows on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Flicker Effect. Lately, Michelle and I have also been posting some video reviews over there, so look out for those. Hopefully, we'll be doing another one very soon. Nice thing is Baby Driver this week. It's a really early release, as soon as Tuesday night, so hopefully we can get a review of that. Well, it's a Wednesday release, so yeah, Tuesday night is the first showings.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm going to go see that Tuesday night.
Yeah. I don't think I'm right there with you.
I can't wait.
Sounds like we're all doubling up on our coffee for Wednesday. It's going to be awesome.
Hell yeah. I cannot wait. So look out for that. As always, we'd love to hear back from you too. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.